It never ceases to amaze me, the calls to action we get here at SOCAP. Wasn't that a great conversation between two amazing men? Thank you. So is Jeff Tuller in the room? He's probably not, but y'all tell him when you see him that he missed getting his prize for being the person who's attended every single SOCAP. So he'll get it somehow or another, but just saying that because to remind you all that this is our 9th SOCAP, and our 10th one, as Lindsay mentioned earlier, is coming up next year. And we're already plotting and planning to make it an amazing event, and you need to be thinking about getting those tickets early this time, because I really do think we are going to sell out next year, so just think about that. Lindsay is already thinking about how we're going to produce an event next year for you that'll bring the best of the best, and doesn't she do a phenomenal job putting this together? We could not do it without Lindsay and her great work, and without the volunteers, and of course our amazing registrar, Fabian, which every one of you has interacted with in one way or another. But also I want to give a special thank you to our sponsors, because without the sponsors, this would not exist at all. And right now I want to bring one of those sponsors to the stage, Jana Oberdorf from Echoing Green. This is their 30th anniversary at Echoing Green, and this year they sponsored our Inclusive Entrepreneurship track. And Jana wants to talk to us about what they've learned over 30 years of working with entrepreneurs, and to give us another call to action for the future. So, Jana.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. What a great and inspiring week it has been here at SOCAP, and we're really excited to be here today on Friday at our closing session to share with you some of the things we've learned at Echoing Green, and hopefully to ask you to join us in our call to action as we look to the future. It's been really great to hear the conference this week talk about the why and the how when it comes to impact investing. But it's also been great to talk about, and particularly in this last panel, the who. We've been really excited to see and sponsor the track at SOCAP this year on inclusive entrepreneurship. This is something we've been thinking about a lot at Echoing Green. And let me tell you why we've been thinking about this. So we're almost 30. We're going to turn 30 next year. So over the last 29 years, Echoing Green has had great success building a one-of-a-kind ecosystem of social change leaders from all over the world. More than 700 fellows working in more than 70 countries. Working on issues from decreasing water pollution in China to building a women-led movement to end mass incarceration in the US. These leaders are serving their neighborhoods, cities, and countries to bring about systemic change for the better. As we listen to our community and we look at our data, we know we must do better to find, select, and invest in tomorrow's leaders. And we know that these leaders have different access to the funds that will help them succeed. We see it in our own pipeline. Every year, we get more than 2,000 applicants for the Echoing Green Fellowship. And the picture we see showcases that talent exists, but inequities persist. For example, in our 2016 fellowship applicant pool, 56% of white applicants had already raised funds, while only 36% of Black applicants had reached that same milestone. Similarly, when we compare organizations at similar stages of development, male-led organizations raised double what their female counterparts raised. I cite these stats not simply to conjure a moral obligation to meet quotas or other superficial measures of diversity. Beyond posturing, by creating false pipelines, we are creating and reinforcing a solutions gap, leaving markets untapped and limiting innovation. To be sure, inequality is nothing new and often reinforced by structures seemingly out of control. But when we seek to understand the ways in which we reinforce barriers, we can create some control. We know that those closest to the problems are often closest to the solutions. And they're not hiding, but there are barriers created from our vantage points that can make these leaders harder to see. That is a problem we can own. Part of owning that problem at Echoing Green is making our fellow selection process more inclusive. We have flipped our framework by asking ourselves, what would our evaluation look like if we thought about going to the talent rather than asking them to fit a mold? In part, this means examining and creating new partnerships, understanding what our application questions are really getting at, and changing the evaluation process itself to reduce room for unconscious bias. Steps like these are a beginning. However, we know the systems, structures, and networks unto which we unleash these leaders still have entrenched biases. While we support our fellows, it's not enough if the gates that will help these leaders get to the next level, behind which lie more networks, more funds, and other social capital, won't open. Today, we are asking each of us to do our part to swing open the gates that we've created for deserving talent, deserving ideas, deserving movements. As funders, investors, and talent spotters, you have the power to thrust those gates open. Adjust your framework and ask, who are we not talking to and why? Look for ways to start those conversations and then go and do it. As I leave you today, I want to suggest 3 tangible ways to adjust the framework. 1, deeply examine what you mean when you say someone is investment ready. What you choose to measure will become what you focus on. Interrogate how that dictates who has access to your funds and networks and who doesn't. 2nd, get out of your comfort zone. Don't pull from the same cascading networks and move away from backdoor investments that lock so many people out. And 3rd, change happens from within. It's not just who we are funding or who we are allowing into our networks. It's committing to being more inclusive as institutions, thinking about who you work with and how you hire. The good news is that the conversations we had this week are a great start. For a long time, within these walls and well beyond, people and organizations have been thinking about how to swing open the gates of opportunity, from schools, vocations, whole industries, you name it. Take the activation of this week and commit to applying it. Understand that the talent, potential, and opportunity is all around us. Instead of asking it to come to us, it's time we figure out how to go to it. Thank you very much.